Sometimes the most routine moments take the most chilling turns, ending in ways no one could imagine. History is filled with people who met their end in accidents so bizarre they sound unreal. From simple routines to sudden tragedies, these moments show how delicate life can be. Here are some of the craziest accidental deaths that shocked the world. By the end of this video, you'll see accidents so bizarre they defy belief. And the last one may be the craziest of them all. It was a bright Tuesday morning on September 17th, 2025, when visitors poured into Universal's new Epic Universe Park in Orlando. Families were exploring, kids were chasing characters, and thrill seekers lined up for the rides that had already become fan favorites. Among them was Stardust Racers, a futuristic roller coaster that promised the sensation of racing through the stars. For Kevin Rodriguez Zavala, a 32-year-old from Florida, the day started like any other. Living with a spinal condition, he moved with the help of a wheelchair, but still sought out excitement where he could. That morning, the atmosphere was full of laughter, camera clicks, and the distant roar of tracks. Nothing suggested that the day would end in heartbreak. As Kevin boarded Stardust Racers, attendants checked restraints and gave the signal. The train pulled away with its usual rush, climbing high before plunging into its first drop. Riders screamed in delight, the wind rushing past as the cars twisted and turned. But midway through the ride, something went wrong. While others were shouting with joy, Kevin appeared to be in distress. His posture shifted unnaturally, and nearby passengers noticed his body wasn't moving like theirs. By the time the coaster hit its sharp turns, his condition had worsened. Witnesses later recalled that he seemed unresponsive, slumping in his seat as the train thundered along the track. When the cars finally slowed and rolled back into the station, panic replaced the cheers. Instead of laughter, there were gasps. Riders called for help, pointing toward Kevin. His head had fallen to one side, and it was immediately clear this wasn't a fainting spell. Operators quickly halted loading for the next group. Staff rushed to the car, unfastened restraints, and signaled for medical support. Guests nearby were ushered back, some covering their mouths in shock, others trying to keep children from watching. Paramedics arrived within minutes, working urgently as the once celebratory station fell into silence. CPR was performed, equipment brought in, and every attempt made to revive him, but nothing could undo the trauma. Kevin was later pronounced dead, the coaster ride having ended in tragedy rather than thrill. In the following days, the Orange County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed the cause of death as multiple blunt impact injuries, calling it an accident. His spinal condition and medication were noted in the report, suggesting that his body may have been more vulnerable to the ride's violent forces. The Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services inspected the attraction and found no mechanical faults. Universal officials confirmed that safety procedures had been followed, but the ride remained closed during the investigation. What began as an ordinary visit to a brand new theme park had ended in a way no one could have imagined. On September 17th, Epic Universe, a place built for wonder, became the scene of a sudden and devastating loss, showing how quickly joy can turn into tragedy. What happened that day at Epic Universe showed how a moment of joy can so suddenly turn into heartbreak. But this wasn't the only time an ordinary outing ended in the most unexpected way. Just a few months earlier, in South Carolina, a petting zoo visit turned into a tragedy no one could have imagined. If you're following these unbelievable accidents closely, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss another story this chilling. It was the afternoon of May 9th, 2025, when families and children made their way to the FiveStar Farm petting zoo near Loris, South Carolina. The farm was known for its calm setting, where visitors could see wallabies, goats, and kangaroos up close. Parents guided kids toward feed stations, cameras clicked as guests snapped photos, and the air was filled with the usual laughter of a community enjoying a simple day out. Among those present was Eric Slate, a 52-year-old man who was not just another visitor. He was the brother of the farm's owner and knew the place well. Eric had spent time around the animals before, and to those nearby, nothing about his presence in the kangaroo enclosure seemed unusual. Inside was a large kangaroo named Jack, a powerful animal that Eric had interacted with on past occasions. At first, the scene appeared lighthearted. Witnesses later recalled that Eric seemed to be playing around with the kangaroo, even roughhousing as though it were harmless fun. Jack stood upright, the way kangaroos often do when alert, and the two appeared to be engaging in what some might mistake for playful sparring. But beneath the surface, tension was building. Suddenly, the mood shifted. Jack reacted with force, his powerful hind legs striking with a speed and strength that few humans could withstand. Kangaroos are capable of delivering blows strong enough to shatter bones, and in moments, the interaction escalated beyond control. Eric stumbled, caught off balance inside the enclosure. The sounds of struggle replaced laughter, and nearby guests quickly realized something was terribly wrong. The animal's weight and power overwhelmed him. Each kick and blow left visible impact, and what began as roughhousing turned into a violent confrontation. Onlookers shouted for help, some rushing to alert staff. Children were pulled back by parents who tried to shield them from the unfolding chaos. Staff hurried toward the pen, but by the time they managed to reach Eric, the damage had already been done. Emergency responders were called, and the enclosure was secured. Paramedics worked urgently, but their efforts could not undo the injuries. Eric was found with multiple blunt force injuries, and despite every attempt, he was pronounced dead at the scene. The playful atmosphere of the farm had turned silent, the tragedy leaving everyone shaken. In the days that followed, the Horry County Coroner's Office confirmed his identity and detailed the cause of death. Authorities began investigating how the incident unfolded, but early findings pointed to the simple fact that even seemingly tame or familiar animals can act unpredictably. The farm stressed that the rest of the animals posed no risk to the public, yet the community was left grappling with the shock of how quickly an ordinary day had ended in disaster. It was a warm afternoon in January 2024 at the Sri Venkateswara Zoological Park in Tirupati, India. Families were strolling along shaded paths, children tugging at parents' hands to see the tigers, elephants, and exotic birds. The day carried the easy rhythm of a weekend visit. The chatter of visitors, the clicking of cameras, and the distant roars of animals kept behind high fences. Among the crowd was Praad Gujar, a 38-year-old man who had traveled from Alwar, Rajasthan. To most onlookers, he appeared like any other visitor, moving casually through the zoo grounds. But what no one expected was the decision he would make that afternoon. A choice that would turn a normal day into something unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. Instead of staying behind the barriers, Prahlad approached the lion enclosure. Witnesses recalled him slipping past the warning signs and moving closer to the massive animals. Guards shouted for him to stop, visitors gasped in disbelief, and some even tried to call him back. But Prahlad seemed determined. He wanted a photo, a selfie with the lions. Climbing into the enclosure, he positioned himself dangerously close to the pride. For a brief moment, there was stunned silence, as though people could not believe what they were seeing. But the lions reacted in the way wild animals instinctively do. One of them lunged, closing the gap in seconds. The calm of the zoo shattered into screams. What followed was chaos. The lion attacked with overwhelming force, knocking Prahlad to the ground. Others joined, their powerful jaws and claws leaving him no chance to defend himself. From outside the enclosure, horrified visitors cried out, some pulling children away so they wouldn't witness the violent scene. Zoo staff scrambled for equipment to drive the animals back, banging on barriers and rushing to distract the lions, but it was too late. By the time keepers managed to push the animals away and reach him, Prahlad had suffered devastating injuries. He was pulled from the enclosure and rushed toward medical care, but his wounds were fatal. The 38-year-old was pronounced dead, his life ending in the very place he had sought a dramatic photograph. In the aftermath, officials confirmed the tragedy. Reports stated that despite clear warning boards and protective fencing, Prahlad had ignored safety rules and entered the enclosure on his own. Authorities noted that the lions were behaving naturally, and no fault lay with the animals or the zoo. The case was a grim reminder that barriers and rules exist for a reason, to protect both visitors and wildlife. What began as an ordinary visit to a zoological park ended in heartbreak on that January day. The decision to cross a fence and take a selfie became a fatal mistake, proving how quickly fascination with wild creatures can turn into tragedy when caution is ignored. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. You won't want to miss the shocking stories we have coming next.